baby. Oh. Why? Oh no. Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Someone talk to me. Real quick. Someone talk to me. Why is it not rotating? Okay. Alright. Hello? I guess it's gonna be up and down today, huh? You can hear me. That's so good. I gotta tell you, it's so weird that you can hear me and I can't hear you. And I forget that you're even there. Because there's a bunch of people watching me. Why won't this turn sideways? That's so annoying. Oh well. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, we're figuring this out. I wish I could turn it sideways. I can't seem to turn it sideways today. Last time I could. Today I cannot seem to do so. Good, you can hear me. Welcome to the live stream. I'm surprised I already have 13 friends. Hello, Eric. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream. Is this bright enough? Can you guys see me? It's probably good. There's like a tornado going on outside, out at the normal flying spot. The weather is absolutely insane, but tomorrow morning still looks good, so we can get some flying in. Michael, what's good? How you doing, Michael? You ready to go flying tomorrow, Michael? I'm ready to go flying tomorrow, Michael. I want to go flying right now. I just gotta, so I'll tell you guys this while we let some more people come into the chat, but I just got me a brand new Viper 518 meter. I freaking love that wing. Freaking love that wing. Viper 5, baby. Now I've got quite the arsenal. I've got a Viper 518 and a Dudek Warp 18. I just sold my ITV Piper 18 a couple days ago. I shipped it out today. That was sad. It departed from that wing, but it was time. It was time. Picture perfect sound. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Do I have paramotors in the picture? No, I do not. I have some right there, though. I could show you. I'm a 90-hour pilot working on bump tolerance. How do you decide when it's too much? I'm getting more comfortable with getting tossed around a little, but I don't want to get into a bad spot either. Turbulence tolerance is something you build over time. That's something that you just have to continue to work on and push the limits a little bit more every single time. I'm a big advocate that it's probably best to fly with someone who knows when it's maybe just a little bit too much, so you know when it's maybe a little too much. Generally speaking, paragliders can handle a whole lot more than people think that they can handle. You know, for myself, I actually had to recently build my turbulence tolerance again as I started to fly in more turbulent conditions, so I started to push a little later into the day, and then all of a sudden I was ridge soaring in the middle of the day. So, you know, it will come soon. It will come soon. Paraglider pilots, like if you ever get into paragliding, you'll see that paraglider pilots fly in much bumpier conditions, because that's typically when you get lift. Like the normal paraglider pilot, thermaling and cross-countrying, it is a constant work the entire time. You're constantly active piloting that wing because you need to be in the bumps to get lift. What up, Trevor? Here from Chicago. Learn a PG at Point of the Mountain. Nice, nice. Point of the Mountain is 11 minutes from me. I can see it out my balcony right over there. I freaking love the Point of the Mountain. You should definitely get into paramotors, man. Both have their pros and their cons. Both are fun in their own way. I think I talked a little bit about paragliding versus paramotoring last time. If you haven't seen the last live stream, you should check it out. Oh no, hang on. Oh no. Oh good. Okay, I'm back. I thought I was going to have a paramotor on my stage. I thought so too. I'm so sorry to disappoint, Beth. Michael, I work on my tolerance almost every time I fly. Yep. And see, Michael, you came with me up the mountain, and what's nice with about flying with someone else in those kind of environments is if you're scared and they're not, then there's probably a reason, then you probably don't need to be. So you kind of learn what boundaries are based on other people's experience, if that makes sense. Is training necessary to be a pilot? Yeah, I would definitely recommend some training. I would definitely recommend some training. 21 friends, that's so good. Did you ever do any speed gliding? You have all those beautiful mountains to zip down. No, it is not worth the risk for me. The risk reward is not worth it for me. I do not want to get hurt. Built my tolerance after a bump decision. Tolerance gets built over time, man. You gotta get rocked around in order to stop getting rocked around. Or in order to be comfortable getting rocked around. Yes, sir, Michael. Best flight ever. That was a fun flight. Went all the way up to... we flew up a mountain called Flat Top Mountain and went to 12,000 feet or so. I think I hit 12,005, which is way the freak up there. And then I cruised over the Kenna Copper Mine, and that was a ton of fun. That was a lot of fun. And I remember trying to time my fuel burn perfectly on my glide slopes so that I didn't run out, and I landed with like barely any gas left. Candace, when are you coming to Utah? Hello. When are you guys coming to Utah? I'm in advanced training tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning, going all the way through Sunday night. I've got 5 guys coming to town. Hopefully the tornado doesn't last for tomorrow. It's scheduled to be good tomorrow. Speed flying is fun, but kind of sketchy. Yes, speed flying is not just kind of sketchy. Speed flying is sketchy. Like, don't lie to yourself. It's sketchy. Yeah, Eric, come on. 26 people watching, only 10 thumbs up. Did I even thumbs up? Yeah, I'm even one of those thumbs up. You got to like your own videos, right? I'm sorry, I'm looking over here because that's where the chat is, guys, just in case you were wondering. Soon. Well, good. I need to see you guys. I need to see you guys out here in Utah so I can actually get Texas flying. That will be fun. You can get him up. 26 people watching. You hit it. Good. We got 12. 2 more. 2 more likes. This is so good. 28 viewers. I'm crushing it. What is the world record for PPG altitude? From the channels I watch, I think it was Honeycutt at 18.6. I think somebody set it really, really high like last year. Like really, really high. I think it's a lot higher than 18,000 feet. I think it's way higher than 18,000 feet. I'm not 100% sure. I could look up the video. Because someone did a video like last year or the year before on like a Cosmos 300. Like flying way up to like, I don't even remember what it was. It was in the 20,000s or so. Cindy! What's up, Cindy? Trevor, Eric and I hope we can come out and fly with you and get you that beer. Maybe next spring. Okay, sounds good. Bear Grylls might have the record. I don't think he does anymore, but he did go really freaking high. I think he flew up Everest, didn't he? Now, talk about quite the crazy flight, right? Built a custom paramotor. I could be wrong on that. But that paramotor was just an absolute beast, and he flew up Mount Everest. Mount Everest. How does one just decide they want to fly up Mount Everest? Like, flying to 11,000 feet is quite the feat in itself, let alone flying to 30,000 feet. Cindy, yes, Cindy, I hope to see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. at the airport. We're going flying. And Michael and the whole crew. 33 people flying. Dudes, so back to my Viper 5, right? While you guys think of some more questions. If you've never flown a Viper 5, I have to tell you that it's one of the most crazy wings that I've ever freaking flown. The ability to enter into like wingovers and loops when you're facing like straight up is just the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I've never flown another wing that does it quite as well as the Viper 5 does. I remember back at Salton Sea in February when I flew Judson's Viper 5, and it was like entering way later than I had ever entered in my life before. And I land, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You almost let it breathe." As in, like, I almost waited long enough to enter into it. And then I went out to Aviator PPG in May, and he was like, just wait longer. Just wait longer. Wait a little longer. And it's like every time I waited just a little longer, I could still throw into it. And that Viper 5, you can enter wingovers and loops, like, past straight up, which, like, most insane thing you have ever. It just feels so wrong in every single way. Because I'm used to wings that just don't do that. But I have to, like, look at the horizon and wait until I'm, like, looking straight up. And then I'm like, okay, that's probably time to enter into the loop. And, yeah, I had a lot of fun on that Viper 5. Plus, the cool thing with that Viper 5, the cruising RPMs when you're trimmed down is, like, really freaking low. Like, really low. I'm running a 140 Helix prop, and it was, like, 5,250 150 RPMs, which is insane. And then I trim out and I'm doing like 43 miles an hour, not even on bar. So I'm pretty freaking stoked about that Viper 5. What is the best/easiest way to set my speed bar length correctly? It is a huge pain, dude, and I have no idea, okay? I've never done a very good job at how to do that. I asked someone else recently how to do that. It's actually Judson. And he goes, bro, you can either, like, hold it on the ground and try and figure it out, or you can just go up and, like, lengthen it 1 inch every, you just lengthen it as you try. I think the real key to it is to just go up, fly, and then lengthen and shorten it as you need to. Does Dell get pissed at you for flying something other than a Dominator? Well, I am no longer a part of Dell's company, so that is a good question for him. Is there BLM Land free camping near your training sites? Yes, there is a lot of BLM Land near our training sites, and you can camp at the airport in which we do our trainings. So both advanced trainings and beginner trainings, you can camp at the airport we do the trainings. We have a student camping there tonight. Yeah, dude, Viper 5, baby. Viper 5. So Judson and I are doing our Adventure Wingman trip in September 18th to 30th, and we're both taking Viper 5s. We originally were going to take an H3, a Dudek Hadron 3, but we decided for the Viper 5s because we wanted just the effortless launches of Ozones. Like, if you've ever flown an Ozone wing, specifically their lightweight versions, which are the Spider 3, the Sirocco 3, the Freeride, and the Viper 5. Like, if you've ever flown one of those, launching those bad boys is, like, completely effortless. You could walk forward, and those wings will inflate into the sky, and you could just fly off to the sunset. It is darn near, like, it's so freaking... It's almost impossible not to be able to get the wing up with a lightweight Ozone wing, which that's what we wanted to go for with the Adventure Wingman Challenge, because I have a feeling we're going to be landing in some really not pleasant places, some really tight places, some really not friendly user environments, and we're going to be wanting an easier launch. So he's going to do a 16 Viper 5, and I'm going to do an 18 Viper 5, which I just got yesterday, and it's got some pink on it, and it's got some orange, and it's got some black, and I will make a video about it, hopefully maybe here soon. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 35 friends. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. How is the crew doing? How is the crew doing? I have never flown over 5,500 feet. Kevin, you need to bump those numbers up. Those are some rookie numbers, dude. 50. Well, it depends on where you live. Like, if you're at sea level, 5,500 feet is quite up there. There's not a whole lot to see when you climb up like 8, 9, 10,000 feet, unless there's something to fly next to. Like, that's the thing with paramotors. The thing that makes paramotors like so uniquely cool is that you have perspective off the landscape, right? You can fly right next to an object. You can fly right next to a mountain. You can fly right next to something. And if there's nothing around you, then it's no fun. Which is why flying to like 10,000 feet is boring. Like, flying to 18,000 feet is one of those things that you might do once and then you'll probably never do it again. Trevor, is it you only instructing? Do you have other instructors working under you? I try to have a 2-to-1 instructor ratio for the school. So last class I just finished last week. I just finished my first ever beginner training class. I had 5 students and I had 3 instructors. So we had better than a 2-to-1 instructor rating or instructor-student ratio. Where's the best SIV course? Max Acro in California is phenomenal. Also, Theo de Blek in Turkey is phenomenal. I would suggest both of those as the SIV course to get into. Pink Wing, yes. Sometimes you just got to embrace it. And I got to say, Ozone's pink color looks pretty freaking good, I have to say. It looks pretty good. If I had made custom colors, I probably wouldn't have chosen it. Tell us about the pink wing. I've been telling you about it. I can't stop talking about it. It's a Viper 5, dude. An Ozone Viper 5 18 meter. Ozone Viper 5. So I have been flying around on a Sirocco 3. I'm sure you guys saw the video called I Got Soaked. I was ripping around on a Sirocco 3 and loved the freaking crap out of the Sirocco 3. And I was going to originally get a Sirocco 3 because I didn't want to go to like the full tilt Viper 5. But then as I started to think about it a little bit more, I figured I'd probably regret not getting the Viper 5 instead of the Sirocco 3. So I went with the Viper 5 over the Sirocco 3 just because I figured I'd probably regret not getting the Viper 5 instead of the Sirocco 3. But it's pink. It has the back is pink, which is cool. I'll make a video. I got some video. I got some video of it. I will make something. Let's see. I'm in Florida with 36 elevation. Yeah, okay, so you probably won't ever go very high. It's just not fun in a paramotor to go super, super high. Like, 1,000 feet is kind of cool, but after you go 1,000 feet above the ground, it's just not all that exciting. Unless there's like a mountain. That's where it gets fun. The only reason I ever go up is because I'm going up a mountain. That's where it's fun. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fun freaking stuff, dude. Oh man, the Adventure Wingman. Have any of you guys in this comment or in this live stream done a long cross-country flight? Like one unsupported that spanned more than one day, not just like a casual 50-mile flight around your neighborhood. But like, have you ever gone somewhere really, really far? Like, have you ever gone a really far distance? Because this Adventure Wingman Challenge is going to be the longest cross-country I have ever gone on, and it's going to be the most challenging cross-country I've ever gone on. Cross-country, generally speaking, is not, like, super difficult, I want to say. I could be completely humbled. But it's more so about figuring out the route that you're going to take, figuring out the weather conditions, how you're going to play into that weather to get a better distance, how to maximize or minimize your fuel burn and maximize your lift and glide slope. That's what you're really going for. Do you have many wings in your training stock? Yes, I do. I have like a dozen wings and more that I will be ordering here soon. What wing are you using for it? For the Adventure Wingman, I'm going to be using an 18-meter Viper 5. And I'm doing it with Judson, who's going to use his 16-meter Viper 5. The V5s. 4 hours is my longest flight, and I refueled at 2 hours. Nice. Did you go somewhere and then come back and refuel? Or did you go somewhere, refuel, and then come back? Or did you land at a new spot? Because 4 hours is a long time. Like, cross-country flights can get really boring because you're just sitting up there. But I will tell you, the one tool that makes cross-country flights like so much more fun and so much easier is an off-grid aviation throttle. Like, if you don't have an off-grid aviation throttle, you need to get one if you're into cross-country flying, because you pop the cruise control on, set it in your lap, and then you pull out your phone and you text your girlfriend and browse Instagram or do whatever else that you want to do on your phone. I'm regularly just playing on my phone. I usually am looking at sectional maps and watching my speed and all the other geeky, cool nerd things that you like to see. But you really do need an off-grid aviation throttle. If you want one, I have some. I have a right hand in stock. Two right-hand ones sitting on my shelf. I'd love to do the Icarus. I, too, would love to do the Icarus. That was something I had always wanted to do, but this Adventure Wingman is basically just a toned-down Icarus race, so I guess I'm kind of technically doing it, which I'm stoked about. I'd love to ask Tucker some questions on how to do it, because who better to ask than him? What's your recommendations for your first cross-country? Pick a direction and fly that way. What do you mean? Like, I don't know where you live. I don't know what you're trying to do. I mean, cross-country flying is more so about picking a route, because you have to avoid, the people, the congested areas. You have to avoid airspace. You need to figure out how to minimize your fuel burn, whether that means you slowly climb or you climb all the way up as fast as you can, and then you just cruise at a high elevation with the wind shear pushing you. There's a whole bunch of different things that you kind of just need to figure out. I mean, the best way to do it is like, hey man, I'm going to fly from here to there, and then just go fly from here to there and try and fly 100 miles, which really is not difficult as long as you have enough fuel. What app do you use while flying XC? Great question. I use two main apps right now, and I'm trying out a third app. The first app I use is FlySky HY. I prefer that app right now. It's my favorite app that I have, except for it limits me in a few ways, and I don't love some aspects of it. So I've been also trying out this app called XC Nav. And XC Nav allows you to like group up. So as I fly with other people, we like scan each other's QR codes and fly together, and I can like see where they are, which I found to really like being able to see where the other people I'm flying with are through my app, because if all of a sudden I can't see where that pilot is, I can check the app and it will tell me, hey, he's 500 feet above you over here, and then I can find him. Because I'm always checking on the people that I'm flying with. I don't want it to lose anybody. And so I fly with FlySky HY, XC Nav, and I'm going to try Gaggle. Let's see. Any advice for someone who would really love to take up paramotoring but is being held back by back with fear of something bad happening? So many crash videos out there. I would say it's a little bit of an irrational fear. Don't watch the crash videos because they give you an unreal, well, they sway the way that you see this. Flying paramotors can be as safe as you want it to be. It can be safer than driving to your LZ to go flying and driving home from your LZ that you just flew at. But it also can be far more dangerous than that. It completely depends on how you, the pilot, fly. I personally would never let fear hold you back in life on things like this. This is one of those things that you definitely won't regret doing. And you can make it however safe you want it to be. If you want to just be that guy who's absolutely as safe as possible, just take it easy. Fly safe, fly slow, fly a safe glider, take your time, learn to fly, go to a training class, do all of those things. Or go through a class. Go see what it's like for yourself. I don't think there's any reason to fear learning how to fly. Do you have to bring your own camping gear, or is it provided at the stop? So you have to bring your own camping gear. The way that they're doing the Adventure Wingman is that every 3 days there's a checkpoint. And on the third checkpoint, or the third day, everybody gets together at that checkpoint. But you're 100% on your own between the checkpoints. So we can go anywhere we want. We can fly anywhere we want as long as it's within legal airspace and as long as we get to the checkpoint within the 3 days. And I think we're only supposed to cover like 100 miles a day or something. It's really not difficult. And the whole purpose with it was not to make it like a challenging, how fast can you get to the destination, but instead like enjoy the journey to the destination, look at the views, enjoy the flight and all of those stuff. But we, as far as I understand, have to land at gas stations, get oil, fill the paramotors up, hitchhike back to wherever we're gonna launch, fly to the next spot, camp at night, unless we want to land in a hotel parking lot, which I imagine Judson and I probably won't do. Then we got to pitch a tent, then we got to sleep, then we got to wake up at 4 in the morning and start flying. And it's really going to be a challenge. It's really going to be a challenge. Nice Vans shirt. I still ride almost every day on my electric board. I have a similar shirt. Thank you. Thank you. I've had this shirt for a long time. I feel an 18-meter Viper doesn't allow for much extra weight for camping gear. You'd be surprised. If you check the weight rating or weight range on the Viper 518, it goes way the freak up there. I could pull it up real quick, but I could do that another time. The 16 Viper 5 would be a little hot for me, but the 18 is actually is a good size. I would maybe prefer a 20, but then I'm going to have a slower cruising speed. Again, the thing with the Adventure Wingman is it's not going to be like super difficult in terms of distance, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's see. So far, I like Gaggle better than FlySky HY. I've heard great things about Gaggle. I tried it. I looked at it today and I downloaded it today, but I haven't really figured it out. Safer than riding a MC. What do you mean? Motorcycle? Oh, motorcycle. I would say that between a car and a motorcycle, a paramotor sits much closer to a car and arguably safer than a car. Why can't you have a paramotor on your stage? Because I am in my office, in my house, and it's hard to just walk a paramotor up here. I live in an apartment complex. I'm on the 4th floor. I'd have to like bring it in the elevator and then upstairs and then back inside and then through the door. And the girlfriend would probably kill me for that. I'd get gas on the floor and then we'd have to clean the carpet. It'd be a whole mess. That's why I don't have a paramotor on stage. But at some point, I'll do a live stream in the field, not here. Have you been practicing hanging 30 pounds off the front of you and launching? No, James, I haven't, and I need to. I have been practicing landing and launching in like every spot I possibly can freaking find. I land every mountaintop I can. I land every just spot I possibly can land at. Like even today I landed twice in my flight, or once, maybe once. But I love to land everywhere. I want to not be uncomfortable setting down in different spots and relaunching in different spots. So that's how I've been practicing, is just launching and landing in every spot I possibly can, and launching crosswind, and like not trying to fix my wing and just doing it as sketchily as I can. But I should really practice with some weight. Flying Flamingo. I'll make him a paramotor background. Thank you. Thank you. Green screen paramotor. There you go. There you go. I just need to do it when I'm out at the field. As long as there's no tornado, I'd happily do that. When landing on mountaintops or hills, how do you usually determine wind direction? You should know wind direction as you're going up the hill. It's a great question. There's a couple ways to check wind direction. If you have like 3 miles an hour of wind or more, it's really easy to figure out which way the wind is coming from, because if you just fly a circle like this, it's clearly going to tell you which way you're going faster. If it's really, really, really light, that's when it gets difficult. A couple days ago or last week, I landed on a mountain and I landed the wrong way, but it was because the wind was just so freaking light that there was almost no wind. But usually I go up and I fly myself in a circle and I just track across the ground and I try and figure out like which way am I flying faster and which way am I flying slower. And that's my best way of figuring out which way the wind is blowing. But if you're going up a hill, generally speaking, if you're going towards a hill and it starts getting really, really bumpy, you're probably on the leeward side, I think is what it's called. AKA you're in the rotor, so you're not into the wind, pretty much. Or you're going into the wind and you're on the wrong side of the mountain. Does your training include launching people tandem and letting them use the controls in flight? No, I do not do tandem flights with the students. We do a simulator. So the training, the way the training works is it's really, really, really focused on glider control. I mean, we spend a lot of freaking time on glider control. The locations that I've picked have had very good wind consistently. So in the mornings, early in the mornings, we'll spend the first part of the day like just on forward inflations because it's super light, and then as about 9 o'clock rolls around, the wind starts to pick up and it stays picking up all the way up until about noon. So we'll start at like 7 o'clock some mornings and we'll just start pounding out those forward inflations. We'll start just getting you comfortable with those forward inflations, and then we'll kite from 9 to noon, and then in the evenings it's just butter wind normally all the way through 10 o'clock. So this last training class we were kiting all the way into the night at like 10:30 at night, and the guys were getting like 4 to 8 hours of kiting every single day. But generally speaking, we're going to spend the first few days just on kiting. Then we're going to introduce the motor. You're going to put the motor on. You're going to start kiting with the motor on your back, because I really love to get you comfortable with all parts of all the pieces before you actually go for your first flight. So the students will spend some time doing some forward inflations with the motor. They'll spend some time doing some reverse kiting, some forward kiting, all of those things with the motor on their back. Once they've kind of gotten comfortable with that, once they're looking good with that, we then turn the motor on. They don't use any power, but we turn the motor on. By turning the motor on, it like flips a switch in your head where it goes from comfortable to uncomfortable. And so by getting you comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling, then it just makes all of it easier. Once we've gotten comfortable with the motor on, we then add a little bit of power and we do what's called a power forward. Then we run you through the simulator, and then you go for your first flights. And the cool thing with how I've restructured the training from what I used to do is my training program is really, really focused on creating independent paramotor pilots. I do not want to do everything for you. It is my job to not have a job, right? It's my job to teach you how to do everything so I don't have to. So for the students in my class's first flights, I was not hooking them up. I didn't put them in the motor. I didn't start the motor. I didn't pre-prime it. I didn't do any of that stuff. I came over and double checked, but I didn't do any of that stuff. And it was my goal and my job to make you, or make my students, an independent paramotor pilot, where at the end of the 10 days, they can go fly. By like day 7, the students that were flying, were doing it by themselves. And it also was my goal to slowly back off the power and back off back off the radio to the point to where I wasn't saying anything as well. But sorry to go on a bit of a tangent. I really want to create independent pilots. And by the end of the 10 days, if you're looking good, we do go mountain flying. So we went up this mountain called Lake Mountain. It's only like 8,000 feet right behind the LZ that we fly at. And I took a couple of the guys this last class up there, which was for me, the first time in a long time, I've gotten that sensation of wow, I took you from nothing to now we went up this hill. The feeling that most people get when it's I took you from not having touched this to flying. I hadn't got that in a while because I've done it so many times, but by taking these guys up the mountain, it really gave me that feeling. And so the goal of the training, introduce every piece and build you into an independent pilot. Let's see. My friend Dustin used to fly with a 50-pound dog attached to his front. I believe it, dude. That's crazy. I want to know how he rigged up that harness. Do you torque wrench your prop bolts or just hand tighten? Great question. I just hand tighten. As someone who's looking to get into the sport, do you recommend purchasing all new gear or looking into used gear? I recommend going to training program first and then considering options. I am normally a big advocate on new wings, and I'm okay with used motors with low hours. Do you have a kite with a smaller training wing so you can... Whoa. Do you have to kite with a small training wing, or can you use a full-size wing? You can use a full-size wing. The small training wings I try to use as little as possible. I have Ozone Roadrunners, but I try to use them as little as possible for each of the students because they kind of... They teach you, but they don't. Like, they give you the ability to learn the left and the rights and how fast and the pace and what to do and how to respond. But they tend not to frontal or lift you or pull you like a traditional glider or a bigger glider does. So I try and transition students by like day 2 over to the real wings, which, by the way, beats the absolute crap out of wings. And that's why most people just love to use small wings, but I want you on the big wings as fast as possible. Do you take the prop off initially in case of trips? No, I don't start the motor. At the start, I don't start the motor. And then as we get comfortable, I then start the motor. And so the students are running around with a running motor, but no power. And then we add a little power for the forward inflations. I brought it up to a few schools, but wondered why some schools don't use a frame, no motor with tow operations. This way students feels the weight of the tow. I don't know if that's really necessary. I think the better thing is to just get students comfortable with how the paramotor feels. Like, if you guys remember the first time you ever put a paramotor on, it was probably super uncomfortable no matter which one you put on. But by the time you've flown like 30 times, it's usually comfortable. So part of the reason I love to put guys into the motors soon and get them kiting with motors is because it then removes this uncomfortable feeling. Through exposure, through repetition, through practice, through time just with the motor on your back, it becomes more and more comfortable. That way when you go flying, it's not like this uncomfortable new thing. I don't want the motor to feel new when you're going to take your first flight. I don't want the wing to feel new. I don't want hooking up to feel new. I don't want the throttle to feel new, or the kill switch, or even the power. I don't want any of it to feel new when you're going for your first flight, which is why we spend so much time with the equipment on your back. And I will also say that the limitless paramotor, to mention that, the limitless paramotor, which is the one I primarily use, and I'm actually making a review on it to post here soon, it takes a freaking beating without damage. Like, we did not break any props, and we beat the absolute crap out of that paramotor. Let's see. Could add rubber weight to simulate motor weight. It may as well just put a motor on. I think if you don't have the real weight on, or you don't have a motor on, then subconsciously in your mind, it's like it's slightly different. I think just make it the way it's going to be and have the student do it the way it's going to be. I don't think his school does tow operations. They tend not to do much for learning to fly. Which school are we talking about, Squid Games? If you could please clarify. Let's see. Would a student receive any recommendations to join a paramotor community after training? Would a student receive any book or learning literature? I mean, I'm a big advocate of flying with people. I think it's a good idea. I think it's important who you choose to fly with because it's going to determine how you become, right? You become who you fly with and who you fly around and who you hang out with. So it's important that you pick the people you fly with carefully, but I am an advocate for it. Training is amazing. I recommend it to all new pilots or anyone who wants to increase their skill level or confidence. Thank you, Michael. Trevor, how do you predict gust fronts? What are the signs and weather characteristics? Gust fronts are rarely sudden. Like, you can predict those into the future if you check weather. A gust front's going to come with activity. So if you're watching the sky, if you're watching the radar, you typically can see it in the future if a gust front's going to come. The only time I've ever been caught in a gust front is times where I knew it was probably going to hit, or there's some gnarly stuff going on, but I'm going to fly anyways. That's usually the headspace that I was in. It's like, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's those situations that you typically get caught. Have you and Brad touched tips, wing tips? Me and Brad who? Brad Roper down in southern Utah? I think so. We've flown together a couple times. I'm not 100% sure. How is your new business going? I hope it's going good. It's going way better than I expected it to go. What's your in-flight vlog setup? I don't have it here, but I got it from aerolite.com. It's an iCaro Solar X helmet with a GoPro adapter thingy-mabob. I'll make a video on that at some point. I think it's okay. Looking forward to the Limitless Paramotor review. Yes, Limitless Paramotor review. It is currently on the other tab on my computer being uploaded right now. The Limitless Paramotor has been my absolute favorite freaking frame I have ever owned and flown, and it's the one that I want more than anything else. I think if you're new to this sport, if you're getting into this sport, you should highly consider the Limitless Paramotor. If you have questions about it, I'd love to answer them. But the thing, I'll mention the thing that I love the most about the Limitless Paramotor, and that is that it can take a freaking beating. That is all I will say. It can take a freaking beating. You can fall sideways, you can turtle, you can butt land, you can smack into the ground, and you're not going to break a prop, and you're not going to break the cage. I have been just absolutely impressed with that paramotor. Plus, it's comfortable enough that students are kiting upwards of an hour with it on their back without getting tired. I mean, come on, an hour. Who kites for an hour with a paramotor on? Yeah. So I do provide every student with a thing to review once they have left the training class. I try not to leave you hanging dry at the end of the training class. Let's see, what paramotor color combo would you shoot for on your dream frame? I like black. I like black. Or I like a really nice green. I'd probably shoot for like a military green or something like that. I'm a big fan of green. Is that with the Monster? Yes, the Limitless Paramotor comes with the Monster. It can come with dang near any engine you want. So the cool thing with the Limitless is that it has a mounting plate that adapts to any engine you want. So if you get it with an Atom 80 and you decide to switch to a Monster 185, you just pull the engine off, set it aside, and add a new engine on, which is really freaking nice. That way, if I have a student who's lighter and I need to add an Atom 80, I can just remove the Viterazzi engine or the Monster and add an Atom 80 engine, which is really freaking nice, as I mentioned. The Limitless Paramotor, guys, I have to say, has been the most impressive paramotor I have flown to date. It checks all the boxes I want, except there are a few things that we are working on improving, but it freaking checks all the boxes I want. The other thing that I really, really love about the Limitless Paramotor is that the prop to cage distance is actually pretty impressive. The reason you want a little bit of prop to cage distance is because if for some reason you fall down, or if your glider pulls on you hard or anything, you want a little bit of room for that prop and cage to move without touching each other. And the Limitless actually has that space, and it is really hard to flex the two together, which is nice. Let's see. Have I ever tried a Mac fly? No, I would love to. Trevor let me fly his Limitless motor, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy one now. Yeah, Limitless makes, to quote Michael, the Limitless makes everything easier. Flying is easier, launching is easier, walking around, hooking in, landing. Everything is easier. Will I be making my own paramotor? Yeah, I will. Paramotor or free fly? Depends on the day. Probably paramotor. What did you make from Dell's Maverick vs. Flat Top review? Bias in every single way, shape, and form. Untrue and a little bit of an exaggeration. Sending good vibe for you, Trevor. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you again soon sometime, Andrew. I hope you come out here to Utah and fly with me. Yeah, Michael, easier in every single way than what you're used to. We won't mention what you're used to, but I'm sure people can assume what it was that we're talking about. That Limitless is just freaking sweet, guys. That Limitless is sweet. Yeah, Wingman, to retouch on that really quick, I thought it was intentionally deceiving. That's what it was. It was intentionally deceiving. There are things that he did intentionally to deceive people and to persuade the way people think towards his agenda and motives, when it was simply untrue and he was skipping a lot of pieces. But let's change topics to something else. Someone ask another question so we can get away from that one. Oh, Taylor, do you prefer swing arms or comfort bars? Swing arms all the way. I will never go back to comfort bars. There are pros and cons to both swing arms and comfort bars, but the swing arms, I think, are superior, and the pros to the swing arms outweigh the cons to the pros of the swing arms outweigh the pros of the comfort bars. I think if you're flying with comfort bars and you switch over to swing arms, you probably won't ever go back. And if you're on swing arms and you try and go on comfort bars, you probably won't make the switch. I think swing arms are freaking sweet. The reason I think swing arms are so awesome is because you can add weight shift and hold it regardless of the G-forces, regardless of what's happening with your arms, your body, your hands, your butt, no matter what. You can add the weight shift and hold them so easily. You just roll the hips, and it doesn't matter if you're getting slapped over here or racked around. You can hold the weight shift all the freaking time. Plus, because your weight shift isn't relying on moving, it doesn't matter if you move. Because if you're getting slopped around, you can focus more on your arms, regardless of what's happening to you as your body, and you can add that weight shift, add that brake, and make the maneuvers and corrections you need to without having to worry about like hooking an arm and pulling it, and then your arm is like stuck in that spot and you have very limited mobility. Do you like the Ozone wings versus the Dominator? Depends on which Ozone wing, but yes, I love the Ozone wings a lot. I would probably never fly a Dominator again. Or I probably won't ever fly one. Do you have an acro wing? Yes, I do. I have a U-turn Redout 19 meter. What do I think of the Maverick? I think the Maverick is good. I think there's some things that can make the Maverick great. Why do you like swing arms better? I just touched on it. Yeah, swing arms, dude. I think swing arms are just better in every way, except for if you fall forward on your face, comfort bars do keep you from getting squished. Dream foot drag location. I just recently went to Yellowstone, and I have to say that there are some lakes in Yellowstone that I would absolutely die to foot drag. They're just insanely beautiful. Have I flown on the East Coast? Yes, I flew Florida in May. I went down to Aviator PPG for 4 or 5 days to hang out with the crew, and yeah, I ripped it up around there. They treated me well. They gave me a factory R with a 140 prop. I mean, come on, who can complain about that? Oh, I see swing arms are like barefoot rock climbing, more connected to the wing. The way I have felt it is it feels like flying on rails versus, it feels like driving a car on a racetrack on a hot day with sticky tires versus driving a car on a racetrack with ice on the ground. Like comfort bars are really movey. You slap around and you slide, and it can be a little difficult to hold the weight shift position. Swing arms, it's like boom, hold there, bam, done. And boom, you weight shift over here and you're good, and then bam, and then there's like much more precise control. I think so switching over to swing arms made loops and wing overs like so much easier. It's significantly easier to wing over and loop with a swing arm paramotor versus comfort bars, because if you're relying on moving your body side to side to add weight shift, well, under hard G-forces you get pushed away from the side you're trying to turn to, and if you let go or you slip, then all of a sudden you're outside weight shifting. What would you pay a guy to help you train? Depends on your experience level. Have you heard about a new graphene injected nylon paraglider material? That was a whole sentence. I'm sure I said something wrong. No, I have not. I have not. Have I ever received any warnings or problems from the FAA? No, I have not. I tend to be someone who follows the rules and plays nicely. Mass control, mass connected. Yeah, Andrew, if you flew a limitless paramotor, you would never go back. Ever. Period. It would completely change flying for you. It's, to me, at this point, it feels like I'm in a completely different sport than what I was ever in before. It's completely new in every way, shape, and form. The wings are completely different and way better. The motors are way different and way better. It just feels like a completely different sport. Flying is easier. I want to fly more. I'm more comfortable, so on and so forth. When are they changing the gas tank on the Limitless? Great question. I have asked about it several times. I haven't gotten a great response. I think making a mold is extremely difficult, especially in today's day and age, and so it's gotten difficult. I will say to that comment there that filling the gas tank up on the Limitless is actually not that hard. Like it looks like it's in a really bad spot, but it's actually in a really great spot. Like it works perfectly as long as the motor's not hot. And I'll show you in my review video that I'm coming out with soon. But it's like in the perfect spot to fill up right beside the engine. It works really well for what it is. And I fear that them moving the gas cap to the side is going to eliminate you're not going to be able to see how much gas you have on both sides. You're going to have to look on the side doesn't have the gas cap, if that makes sense. Do you recommend goggles for flight? In the wintertime, yes, I do. In the summertime, no. I just wear sunglasses or my prescription glasses. What would be the top 3 paramotors you would recommend? That's a great question. Right now, I'd probably recommend a Limitless paramotor number 1. Now you got me. I'm just going to stick with Limitless right now. Limitless, Liberty, Parajet, Scout. I love all of those frames. I have really been drawn to those. I'd probably rank the Limitless number 1, the Scout number 2, and the Parajet number 3. If the exhaust is hot, it sucks. Yes, if the exhaust is hot, it does suck. Do you think the FAA will pass the updated drone rules? Who knows? Who knows? Trevor is tired of me having a question. Trevor is tired. Todd, I am not. I'm sorry. I saw your messages. I can't respond until the live stream is over. Just wait until then, and then I will reach out to you. Where were we? The PAP is easy one to fill. I would like to try McFly in a PAP. I have not been able to try them. I've heard great things about them, but I have not tried them. Would you fly an open PPG SP140? Absolutely, I would. Awesome. Way to go, Brandon. Did I ask your question? Oh, yes, I did. Sending good vibes to you, Todd. Yes, sir. Have you heard of someone throwing smoke bombs of the paramotor no wind direction to help you land? Yes, I have. I have heard of that. That's not necessarily a bad plan. The problem with that, though, is if you throw it in a spot where it catches fire. Don't be the guy that starts a forest fire because you were trying to figure out which way the wind is. That's the only thing that I would say. McFly and Pap, James, to go back to your comment, if you know anybody in the Salt Lake area that has a McFly or a Pap, I would love to connect with them and try them. I have not been a huge fan of the cage. One of the reasons I like the Limitless is the way that they've designed the actual cage. I also am a huge fan of 140 props. I just think I need a little bit more time with them. I think I need to learn a little bit more about them. Out of curiosity, how much of your students were local versus how many traveled a bit to get to your training specifically? Every guy at my last class was traveling. Nobody was local. People travel a long ways to come out here to Utah to train. You could use cold burn smokes. You could do that. You could do that. I'm trying to figure out a good way of like having this thing that you can drop that tells you the wind direction. It's pipe dream. I'm sure everybody's thought about it. But really, if you just fly in a circle, it does tell you which way the wind is. It's a skill that you have to learn through practice is what I have figured out. 51 people watching. Thank you guys. I didn't know I had 51 friends. I didn't know I even had 51 friends. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. What other questions do we got? What other questions do we got? Come on. No other questions? All 51 of you are just sitting there on your computer with no questions whatsoever. I'm going to talk about the Open PPG SP140 real quick. I think I would love to try an electric paramotor. I think electric paramotors are definitely slept on. I think people need to be... I think people have this conception that electric paramotors and gas paramotors are in the same field, like the same thing, you compare side by side. I don't think that's the case. I think electric paramotors have their own unique specialty, right? You're not going to take an electric paramotor and go fly on a 4-hour cross-country flight. That is just not what an electric paramotor is for. An electric paramotor is for flying around your local area, ripping it up, and having fun, right? That's what an electric paramotor is. Everybody's like, oh, I'm waiting for the range to increase. Like look, like that's not going to happen in the terms of paramotors unless the weight of a battery comes down or the efficiency of a battery significantly increases. But an electric paramotor can be really, really fun for a short flight, half hour to a 45-minute flight, which for most people, that's how long you fly. So I think people weigh out electric paramotors a little too soon. Do new students ask about Dell? Yeah, sure, they do. I mean, with everything going on, why wouldn't you? You're kidding, you're a PPG celebrity. I wouldn't say so, but I appreciate it. Soon you'll have thousands watching. That would be a lot. I would have to be to Tucker God's level. We are digging your content. Thank you, Kurt. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I try. How do you feel about flying over water, ocean versus lake? Well, what do you mean flying over water? Like far enough that you're not going to be able to glide back to land? Because I can't say I'm a fan of that unless you have a chase boat. But I'm not fearful of flying over shallow water. I wouldn't fly over deep water. I wouldn't fly over water without some form of support. I do think quick release harnesses are extremely handy. I do think flotation is extremely handy. And I do think if you're a regular over water that you should do so. The reason I don't is because I fly over water that's about 1 inch deep and I tend not to go any deeper than that. Would you ever think that a hot air balloon could have a paramotor? I don't know what you mean. What are your opinions on Open PPG X4 with no torque? I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's loud. I feel it would be very different with less weight shift. What do you mean, Squid Games? Squid Games. What do you mean less weight shift? Are you talking about the Open PPG X4? I don't think weight shift would really be affected by that. What is the next fly-in? Rumors St. George, November. I am not going to be going to that one in November. I have a training class going on, but I will most certainly be at Salton Sea for at least a week. Ever seen a pluma? I am not a fan of the pluma cage. The cage is a big deal to me. The netting is a big deal to me. The strength of the cage is a big deal to me. My background was, well, you guys know what. So coming from a cage like that, I do value a very strong cage and a strong netting. And the reason I love the Limitless so much is because it has, in my eyes, the best netting I have seen. And also has one of the strongest cages. And the way that they design the curve, it keeps the netting farther from the prop for a longer period of time. And to go back to the pluma, it's not that I don't like the pluma or have a problem with the pluma. I just have never been a big fan of the cage. You should organize a trip to Iceland. Seeing a lot of trips there. I think Scout does one, but scenery looks amazing. Scout's already got the whole Iceland thing nailed down, man. I wouldn't want to step on their toes. What is a Limitless cost? The way I spec a Limitless is $8,552 before a reserve, and it's exact paramotor that I fly. Could you get your hand chopped off with a Limitless? Man, you could get your hand chopped off with anything. I have seen prop strikes on the old mighty, not prop strikeable frames. Prop strikes and getting your hands chopped off will only happen if you do really stupid things like ground start the paramotor. Can you? Yes. Will you? Likely? No. What are your thoughts on titanium frames versus treated aluminum frames? I think titanium is a little bit better. I know you, and to go into that a little bit more, I think titanium is stronger. I don't know enough about metal, but my experience, I have preferred the titanium frames over the aluminum frames. The titanium just seems to be able to take more of a beating without breaking. Like aluminum, once it bends, it kind of loses its strength. Titanium doesn't seem to really do that. Let's see. I know you're always supposed to land on a level LZ, but if you have to land on a shallow slant, would you land uphill or downhill? I would land sideways to the hill. Favorite strobe? PBG Smoke has a great strobe. Yeah, so Bryce, I wouldn't land either way. I would land sideways to the hill. And Andrew, I will tell you this, you can be really, really clumsy and you still won't chop your fingers off. Like we all know who, the reason he pushes that and talks about that so extremely is because it's really good at pushing his equipment. The reality is that stuff only happens if you do ground start a paramotor and lose control of the paramotor. So as long as you don't ever ground start a paramotor, the chances of you hurting and catching a hand in the prop is extremely slim, and especially slim on a Limitless paramotor. There are cages out there that are weak enough that you can simply flex them together, but not the Limitless. The Limitless has very good clearance and is extremely strong, so the chances of you stretching them into the prop is not very high. It's extremely difficult. Plus, I will also say, Andrew, that starting a Vitarazi is night and day easier than starting a Minari 200. I would never fly a Minari again. I will 100% stick to Vitarazi. They are so freaking easy to start, and the overhead pulling is way easier. Would you fly with a streamer? I would fly with a streamer, sure. Yes, fear-mongering, 100%. Using fear to sell product. That's one of the reasons I love the Maverick. I never struggle to start it on my back. Yep. Most all paramotors are really easy to start on your back, as long as you're running a Vitarazi engine. My reserve throttles runs up the throttle side of my harness. Is that a problem in your opinion? I have a front container. I don't think so. I actually run the reserve on my throttle hand. Could you ever go back to riding bikes after flying? Yeah, I actually owned 7 motorcycles over the last couple of years. An R1, an MT10, an MT09, KTM 1290 Super Duke R, and a whole bunch of other stuff. S1000 RR. Do you know of any paramotor games, things to do while flying? No, man, you should really pay attention to flying. How will the new carbon footprint and social credit score system impact paramotoring in the future? That is a really loaded question that I have no idea how to answer. What tires did you use? Brandon, I used Q3 Pluses. I split test the S22s and the Q3 Pluses with the Super Corsas as well, and I found the Q3 Pluses fit my style more. I went through S22s and Super Corsas way too fast because I turned more, and the Q3 Pluses had a little bit of a firmer compound on the sides than the S22s and the Super Corsas. Nitro 200, have you tried? No, I have not. I don't like the cage on the Nitro 200. I think it's too weak for me. Again, there are frames that are really, really flimsy, and there are frames that are stronger. And I like the stronger frames, which is why I chose the Limitless. Hearing paramotor games made me think of Paramotor Blue. I don't know how to pronounce that. And it just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, it's just like texting and driving. It's the same thing. You can get distracted flying and end up crashing into someone without realizing. It'd be pretty hard, but you could do it. What do I think of pylon racing? Taylor, I would love to do pylon racing. There's nothing I would love to get into more than pylon racing. I don't know why I haven't gotten into it yet. Probably just because of time and availability and money. But I would love to do some pylon racing. Brandon, real quick, what tires did you run? You can't have me tell you and you not tell me. Just wondering if the SP140 electric is something that is trainable. I saw on YouTube one channel specifically trains for that unit. I mean, it's going to fly like anything else other than the spin-up time is going to be really quick. How about paramotor paintball? I mean, sure, dude. I think that'd be fun, except I think that would lead to mid-air collisions. I think paramotor paintball, where you are shooting at someone on the ground and the person on the ground is shooting at you, that could be fun. But if two paramotor pilots are flying at each other and shooting at each other with paintball guns, you're going to crash into each other. It doesn't matter how good of a pilot you are, you're probably going to crash into each other. If a paintball hits a prop, I imagine that could do some major damage. Yeah. I seem to have damaged a prop just foot dragging water today. I got really upset about that one. If anybody is on here that knows how to fix props, let me know. Lol, of course, Dunlop. It's a spec tire for racing. Of course, dude. Q3 Plus. I didn't really love the Q4 Pluses. They cracked on the sides. Or the Q4s, excuse me. The channel that trains for the SP140 is the one guy that makes them. I would like to see some schools in other spots. I don't think it's the best paramotor for training new students. Andrew, that would be sick. Planking manhunt in the Hunter. I have no idea what you just said, but I'm taking it you're talking about paintball in air to ground. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? You know, have someone dive bomb and shooting a paintball gun down. I think it'd be best to do with a tandem, but you're just going to fly recklessly doing something like that. It's definitely going to lead to something. Ever seen or flown a paramotor jet? Nope. Redhead props. Ernie can fix. Fantastic. I will hit Rennie up. I know someone here in Utah does it as well. I'll reach out to them. Or I'll just buy a new prop. I don't know. We'll see. It's not that badly damaged. Maybe I'll go foot drag some rocks and see if I can do some damage. The problem is, Andrew, and I talked about this in a recent video, is as soon as you start playing paintball from the air, you're going to start flying more recklessly than you normally will. You're going to start to get into it. You're going to start to get distracted. And then you're going to start to make mistakes. It's going to happen really, really fast. I mean, the same thing that happens with filming or, you know, any of that thing. You got a crowd. You got someone talking. You got someone filming you. All of that stuff leads to it. Do you prefer a 2-blade or a 3-blade? I prefer 2. What is the one thing you think could make Limitless better other than a throttle, which is up to preference? Great question. There's a couple things that I think Limitless should do. Number 1, I want to see a stronger netting. And number 2, I want to see the netting come farther down on the cage. I'm actually talking with them about different netting material and different netting and how to improve that netting. Lol, just repair my prop with Q-bond and a 4-ounce fiberglass. Nice. Let's see. Doing acro sats, how much stress do the swing arms take, or is it majority stress going through the harness? That's actually a great question. I have not thought about that. I don't know the answer to that right now. Ever consider going to the Dave Purden flying? Dude, I'd love to go to every flying I possibly could make it to. The only problem is time. I don't have a ton of time. I have no free weekends until November 16th. There's zero availability in my world except a few weekdays between now and November 16th. Please come to Dave's. I'd love to, man. I'd love to. I want to go to Endless Foot Drag this year. I went back in 2019 and I enjoyed it, but I don't have the time. Next year, I'm for sure making Salton Sea, and I'm going to possibly make the Flying Circus. Do you believe in ghosts? Wow, we're really getting into some questions now, huh? Really straying away from those paramotor questions. No, I don't really believe in ghosts. Such as this weekend, better hurry. Sunrise flight in the morning, Trevor, Marshallow, Michigan. What about that, Todd? What about that? What do you mean? Not to trash on your trike video. Ever wanted to do more with trikes or foot launch is best? I would love to do more with trikes. Only a ghost would say, come on, man. Come on, man. I forgot to tell you, we already died because we're flying death traps. It's all our ghosts flying around. So you're probably right. I am just a ghost. Forgot to tell you. Not to, trikes. I'd love to do more with trikes. I'm going to eventually get a tandem trike. I just never really had one available to me for a while. Let's see. Hot air balloon with a paramotor equals a blimp. I mean, maybe. Kind of. Sure. Okay. Have you ever thought of OnlyFans PPG page? No, I think the better thing for paramotors would be a feet finders instead, because every paramotor pilot has feet pics. Like, I challenge, how many of you guys don't have any pictures of your feet while flying? Like, I guarantee all 48 of you have one picture of your feet and your camera roll of you flying. We're really getting off topic now, aren't we? Oh, man. Andrew, if you're still listening, I want you to come out to Utah. I want you to fly a limitless frame. I'll pay for the gas on the frame. Come on out. Come fly my motor. Come fly my stuff. I want you to come experience what the real world is like. Come experience a new sport. And come fly a new wing, because you will just drool. With your toes out? Hey, sometimes, all right, you gotta let the feet breathe. Sometimes you need your feet to get a little air up there, all right? It gets a little stuffy. I can't wait. That's the joke I wanted. Oh, good. Okay. Did you see Oakley fingers whack? Any thoughts? Yes, I did. See, there are frames out there that are not very strong. And if you have a line catch, or you do a power forward on accident, or something of that magnitude happens, you can catch your finger into the prop. You can hit the prop into the cage. And I don't like that whatsoever. I don't want any part of that. I never want a prop strike. I never want my finger to go in the prop. And that is why, again, I chose the Limitless Paramotor. I don't mean to be a big sales pitch on here for the Limitless, but the clearance between the prop and the cage, the way the netting is, and the strength of the cage and the frame is to my standards. And that's why I chose it, because I don't want my fingers to hit the prop, man. I don't want something like that to happen. It didn't seem like he really screwed anything up. And it led to that mistake, which is a little upsetting that that happens. Not to be a sales pitch for Limitless, but that's one of the reasons I really like the Limitless Paramotor. Yep, got two of them. Not sure what you got two of, but great. Oh, two feet picks. Yeah, I mean, come on. Everybody's got feet picks in the air. What is your shoe size? Oh, come on, Andrew. It's size 10. Do you hang out with Tucker ever? No, I've never hung out with Tucker. I've only briefly talked to Tucker. One day I hope to become friends with Tucker. I don't know if Tucker really likes me or not. I don't know. I've never really talked to him. Or normal reserve. I'm not sure, Taylor. I'm not sure. Normal reserve. I'm a round reserve kind of guy. Not steerable. I caught some lines on a spool up pre-launch with a trike. No damages, but I don't like bothering. Foot seems safer to me. I wouldn't say that foot launch is that much safer than trike, or even safer than trike. I think it just depends on your cage. I wouldn't be nervous of lines catching into the prop. What I would be nervous of is if your cage is not strong enough to stand up to that. As in, if your line catches the prop and it bends in the cage, I'm not a fan of that. I think the cage should be stronger than that. I think there's no reason for all the cages to be as weak as they are. I'd love to see more cages be more durable. You know, I'd love to see dual loop versions of cages. I don't think there's any reason not to. If you do it right, the dual loop should only add 1 or 2 pounds. It doesn't need to be your main bread and butter, but it should be an option that you can have, or just make it freaking stronger. I just don't think the cages out there are as strong as they could be. And if they made them as strong as they could be, by only adding a few pounds of weight, it would definitely reduce the damage that, you know, the cage bending and people's fingers and all that stuff. But again, that's why I like the Limitless. It's the only paramotor I have found, or not the only, but one of the only paramotors I have found that really has a good cage. Do you like Bruce Goldsmith wings? BDG. I have very little experience with BDG. My experience with them is positive. What happened to paramotor smoke systems? A fad that died? Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to have a smoke system, and they're marginally cool. Any tips before I head to school? Get in shape. I suggest running, exercise, abs, cardio, legs, arms, all of it. Get in the best shape that you possibly can, and then go into it as humble as you can. When do the 3-day fly camping trips begin? They're going to have to be next spring. I'm sorry. I booked myself way too thin this year. I've got the Adventure Wingman thing, which took up a couple weekends, which I was originally going to do stuff. And then I've got Aviator PPG coming out here to Utah for a week, which is going to take another piece of my time. So I wasn't able to plan any of those fly camping trips. But next spring, I'm definitely going to set aside some time between my training schedule. But I just really packed myself thick this year with trainings. The line actually bent the frame, and it could do it on any frame. Those lines can pull a tractor trailer in Kyle's defense. That's true. I mean, I'm not calling Kyle out or anything. I like Kyle Oakley. I think he's awesome. But yeah, I could see that. I did have experience with another frame that caught lines that did not bend into it. And maybe it's better that a line is a little bit on the weaker side. That way, if it catches, it breaks. See, there's an argument that we could go back and forth on. Do you want a stronger line that doesn't break, or a line that's a little weaker that breaks if it catches the prop? That way, it doesn't bring your finger into the prop. That's a good question. Let's see. You can't fall on your face with a trike, but you can flip it over. The reason cages are weak is money. I don't think the reason cages are weak is money. I think the reason cages are, and I will say I don't think they're necessarily weak. I just think they're not as strong as they should be. I think the reason they're not as strong as they could be, not should be, is because, wait. Let's see. My rig wasn't intended specifically for trike. I think it's a matter of the engine being right up tight. Cage stops shorter a bit. Okay, what frame do you have? Freeride 2 is coming out. Although I flew the Drift 16 last week and it was nice, felt like a more solid Freeride. Freeride 2 is actually available. If you want one, you should hit me up. Same with the, I won't say anymore. I have not flown a Drift Air yet. I have flown a Warp for about 10 hours, a Warp 1, and I have liked the Warp 1. The reason I've never been a huge dudek fan, although I would love to spend more time on dudeks, is because they are not very easy launching wings in comparison to Ozone wings. And the way I fly is I land everywhere possible. I love to land places, and it just doesn't align necessarily with the way that I fly. Trevor, why don't they make holes smaller on the nets so nothing gets through? Let's say half the current standard. I don't know. Some frames do, like the Iris Paramotor brings the netting all the way down, and I think that should just be standard. I don't know why. Most of the frames and cages and stuff are made in the UK, and I guess they just think about things a little bit differently. I'm gonna, one of the things as well with the Limitless is I'm really working with them, or I want to work with them to improve the netting. I want to make the netting a really solid netting. There's no reason for it to be weak material, and there's no reason for it not to go all the way down, and there's no reason for it not to cover the whole thing and stuff. And so I'm really going to try and improve that with them if they're open to it. Have I tried Gin Wings? Thoughts? I have not spent that much time on Gin Wings. I've actually only ever flown two. I flew a Gin Carve 16 for like 15 minutes at the point of the mountain, Utah, paragliding. That's about my extent of it. I'm waiting for Chris Santacroce to hit me up with a 16 or 18 Carve demo, which he told me he will here soon. My frame has the bar that goes from one side of the hoop to the other. You bolt it on when it has the trike. It prevents its flex, but it only... Nice. I would personally think the strength equals weight. Yeah, as you add more strength, you add more weight. That's really the reason why no cages have super strong cages, or no frames have super strong cages. Excuse me. It's because they're going for lightweight, which I think they're. If they added like only 1 or 2 pounds to all these cages, they could make them so much stronger. Like if you added 2 pounds to the Parajet Maverick, you could make the Parajet Maverick way stronger. The argument is that it doesn't need to be. Like it doesn't need to be, right? It doesn't have to be any stronger. But I think there should be an option for it. Let's see. Have I tried Disco 18? I have not. I am a Flow dealer. I can sell those. I just haven't ordered one yet. Any thoughts about hearing damage from paramotors? About hearing damage from paramotors? Like in flight, on the ground? What do you mean? Taylor, please explain a little bit more. The Kangook Amaruk has the monster so damn close. Flies like a dream, but puts the prop close to the pilot. The Kangook also has really good netting. I will say. The Amaruk has some very good netting to it. I have liked that netting. I think the clearance could be a little bit better. If you have to run a spacer, I think it might be just a little too close. But then again, keep the weight closer, prop farther. I don't know. It's a toss-up. It costs more money to develop a product that is both strong and light. That's why military aircraft is not cheap. Sure, yeah. I think it wouldn't be that much harder to make the cages a little bit stronger. But again, I went back to the argument of does it need to be, and that's probably why it's not. It does not need to be as strong as you think it needs to be. Let's see. Restricting nets hurt prop efficiency. That's true. The thicker the netting, the more restricted the prop is going to be. Hypothetically, if you had no net, it'd be more efficient. If you had no cage, it'd be more efficient. But it needs to be, you need to weigh out the pros and the cons to it. You know, there's trade-offs to everything, and you just have to pick which trade-off you want. Your mother. Hello, Troy. You should come flying with me this weekend, Troy. There is some % loss of efficiency and thrust if you go overboard on the netting. True, that is true. Yeah, we just mentioned that. I think it should just be an option. I think the pilot should be able to choose. Do you fancy attempting any world records, altitude, distance? Have a friend that's crossing the whole of Australia. Looks like mammoth task, but they're doing well. I don't really have any interest in doing world records. I mean, cool, I guess. It's kind of an ego thing. What I do have interest in doing and what I do want to do next year, and I'm going to tell you guys about this real quick. I want to fly from Canada to Mexico. I want to follow the entire Rocky Mountain range down. I'm not sure if I want to do it unsupported or supported, but I really, really want to fly from like the top of Montana to like the bottom of Arizona. I think that would be really, really freaking fun. Anybody want to come with me? Let me know. Let's see. Is it possible to start a flat top mid-air on your back? With a Minari, not really. With a Vitarazi, kind of, sort of. It's hard, is what I will say, Josh. It's really hard to do so. Any thoughts on bicycle tire trikes? Are you aware of it? I'm not a fan. I like a little bit of a thicker tire with good amount of rubber. Without protective control, the sound of the paramotor engines might cause damage. Ever finished a flight without protective gear? Feel like you went to a concert? I always fly with double ear protection. I fly with noise canceling 3M headphones and earplugs. Prop closer to the center line is maybe why it flies so well. I'm only 130 pounds. Further back, the engine would be closer to my hang points. Need to be. I already run custom bars as is. I mean, there's trade-offs to everything. That's what you're going to learn with this sport. Everything that you do is going to be a trade-off. I started the flat top on my back when my motor died because the carb was too rich and it bogged in flight. It was a close one. Yeah, it is possible. It's just difficult. I learned on a Blackhawk. I bought a Sky Max Star. No regrets so far. So good. Good. I'm glad. I have not tried one of those myself. I'm not really a big fan of the cage or netting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see, Taylor. Yeah, but I'm deaf, and when I land, I play music so loud. Ironic for sure. I think every paramotor pilot should definitely wear double ear protection if you care about your hearing. At least I do. I've always done that because I care about my hearing and I care about my eyes. Any trike options for the Limitless like PAP and MacFlight? Yep, there is. Go to Aviator's YouTube channel, and recently they posted a video of their trike option, which I think is pretty freaking sweet, and I look forward to getting one. Music while paramotoring, that's similar to snowboarding, and it's motivational. So fun fact, I've only ever flown with music once my entire life flying, and I feel like I'm totally missing out on something. Like, everybody goes on and on and on about music being the greatest thing ever, and I have never experienced it, really. The time I did was just a short flight, but I need to get music. I need a Cena in my helmet. If Michelle is on is listening, I need to get that Cena installed. Do you ever get motion sick, students? Any cure? I do get motion sick if it's bumpy enough. They make some really nice like wrist things that you can wear. Michael, if you're listening, what is the thing that you use while you're flying? Michael Cordro. Have you flew anything other than PG and PPG? No, I would love to get a private pilot's license. If you had a choice, would you motor out land in a grown cornfield or in a drainage ditch? It depends on the ditch, but I'd probably go for the ditch. I get motion sick very easy in flight. So I will say, it hasn't gone away. Bad air, 3 seasons now, it hasn't gone away. Bad air equals sick within 10 minutes and I'm landing. Makes me sad. I was really hoping it would get easier. Shane's Planet Shane, look at the thing that Michael Cordo just added to the chat. That's what he uses. He used to get sick. Are you getting a one-wheel? I have an electric unicycle. And I think electric unicycles are better than one-wheels. I'm just saying. If you've never ridden an electric unicycle, you should totally get one. I have one sitting right there. It's an MSX 100V. Gotway MSX 100V. And I think electric unicycles are better than one wheels. And I will debate you to the end of the earth on why you need an electric unicycle instead of a one wheel. But a one wheel is still fun. It works wonders for my motion sickness, 100% eliminated. Yeah, so if you guys get airsick or you have any problems with it, it looks like the, I'm not going to say right, Emetra wristband is a great solution. I've seen Michael use it and it helps out. Wingman, do you have an electric unicycle though, man? Do you have an EUC, dude? EUCs, I think, is the next thing for people. Maybe. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they are a lot of fun. $129 on Amazon. I totally would pay more for it. Cool beans. Cool beans. Well, guys, I tried an EUC. It was great. I'm telling you, dude, EUCs are the way of the future. My girlfriend hops on my back and we'll cruise around to Walmart, get groceries, and cruise back. I dare you to do that with a one-wheel, man. And the only reason I get so fired up is because me and my best friend argue about this every freaking day. Tell Shane to have his eyes checked. Eyes off will cause vertigo. Ooh, interesting. There you go, Shane. When are you going to have a group flying in the mountains? I'm going to do it in the spring. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the live stream. I'm just way too packed this fall to schedule it. I've got the Adventure Wingman thing, which took up a weekend that I was planning to do it, or 2 weekends technically. And then I've got Aviator PPG coming out to town for a week, and both of those are just taking up my time. Let's see, skydiving from a paramotor, sure, sounds cool. I'm not really into skydiving. Nah, bro, the one wheel is the beach feels like snowboarding, pow. It's awesome flow. You can carve it up. You can carve it really hard on a unicycle, and I'm just saying. Yo, what up, Jeremy? I hope you're doing well, man. Welcome to the party. You are a little late, but that's okay. High paying points machine on a stable wing can soak up bumps. Maybe helps with motion and sickness in flight. There you go. There's a potential solution. I have one bad eye. It's wrenched. EUC is way better than one wheel. I'm telling you, EUC all the way, dude. Which to buy, EUC or one wheel? One wheels are just so expensive. One wheels are expensive. EUCs are also expensive. The one wheel deciding to turn off is the worst. Yeah. Okay. So I have a story for you on that one. I know somebody who's riding an electric unicycle and they hit 30 miles an hour, which was its top speed, and it just turned off and he went right onto his face. Your channel is about EUCs. Oh yeah, dude, EUCs all the freaking way. I'm telling you. Just sold my veteran Sherman. I still have I am not going to pronounce that. Sweet. I've got a Gotway MSX 100V. Let's see. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for Trevor for the live content. You betcha. My one wheel runs great in the soft dirt. I'm sure it does. The electric unicycles surprisingly work well on soft surfaces. We are getting way off topic. Talk about paramotors, and now we're over here talking about EUCs. But I'm telling you, EUCs are the best, man. They will consume all your free time. Like, here's the thing. If you get into paramotors, it's almost mandatory that you also get into one wheels or electric unicycles. Almost mandatory. Michael, I used to puke on almost every flight. It sucked. Now I fly until my tank is empty with zero motion sickness. Did your tank empty this morning? As I'm pretty sure you landed with some gas left in your tank, and I continue to fly up to the top of the mountain. I'm not saying I'm calling you out or anything, Michael, but you could have come with us. You guys in your small gas tank, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm saying 2.5 gallons is not nearly as big as 4. Let's see. Do you camp at Fly-Ins or glamp? Man, I'm a glamper, dude. Actually, last year at Salton Sea, I slept in the back of my Toyota 4Runner and with my dog and girlfriend, and I had no problems with that. I'm not really too much of a glamper. I can rough it. But I did then buy a camper, and then I sold the camper, and I'm really hoping to get another camper one of these days. Start renting it out on the side. Let's see. Motivation to everyone. Focus on staying safe. Save your health and money. There you go. Halfway to empty. See, Michael, you didn't even fly a full tank, man. I'm calling you out. Thanks for the continual added motivation, and have a good night. You as well. There you go, Michael. You better fly until your gas runs out. Gas runs out. I flew till my gas tank was the lowest it's been in a long time today, and it was only about an hour and a half flight, but I didn't fill it that high. I only put... Ooh, how many liters did I put in it? I might have put 10 liters in the gas tank. $150+ placebo. Hey, I mean, if it's really that big of an issue, I wouldn't worry about the $150, because if it for some reason fixes the problem, it is 100% worth $150. If it does not fix the problem, did $150 break your bank account and ruin your day? That's what I'm saying. It is worth the try, because if you're really getting sick as much as you say you are, then you should try everything that you possibly can. That's just my take. Who knows? Who am I to tell you? Fan-freaking-tastic. Well, guys, I've got an advanced training tomorrow. What should I do with all of the 5 pilots coming to town? Maybe they're in the training. Or maybe they're in the live stream. My plan is to take them into the Mountianes. I'll tell you this. The hardest thing when you're flying with a group of people, I'm not sure how many of you guys fly with a group of people, is fuel burn. If one guy launches after another, you know, the last guy to launched you like 20-30 minutes after the first guy launched, depending on how you know, your crew or whatever. Your fuel burn is tough, so you have to really try when you're going on a group cross country to all launch at like the same freaking time. Let's see. Flying would be awesome without motion sickness, that's for sure. I would love to never get motion sick. I do get motion sick myself. Yeah, I've built a tolerance for it, but I think everything is worth a try if you truly get motion sick. I would happily spend $150 to just try, because what if it worked? What if it worked? Let's see. Taylor, maybe Trevor and I can work on some Paramotor ear protection set, silicone and earmuffs. It's called a pair of earplugs and a 3M headset, or just a pair of earplugs. I mean, just wear earplugs and it pretty much solves the problem. Andrew, no, it's not. It's a TENS unit. It actually shocks your vague nerve into nice. I am not going to read that because I was kidding. Whatever works. Think we'll ever have a fuel gauge? No, it's just added weight that's unnecessary. Just use your phone, take a picture of the gas tank, or add a mirror to your throttle. I sell a $10 fuel gauge. It's the shape of 2. Yeah, pretty much. You don't need a fancy schmancy fuel gauge. There's no reason for it. It'd be cool, but you don't really need it. Just take a picture of it. So the beauty of paramotors is that there's nothing in the cockpit. It is just you. There's no fancy schmancy stuff, right? You don't have... what is it? You don't have an instrument panel. You don't have any of that stuff beeping at you. It's just you, the screaming 2-stroke, some lines, and some fabric. And that's the beauty of paramotors. Exactly. Less stuff on the paramotor, the better. I would love to fly just like I love to fly just a bare-boned paramotor. Barely anything on it. Mine seems fancy looking. Nice. Simplicity is epic. Sorry, I couldn't find anything about the limitless trike setup. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Oh, I can't type right now. Dave Young, if you send me a message, I will pull up the video for you. I can't really type right now, and if I get distracted, then I'm going to not be able to answer your guys' questions for 2 seconds. Let me see here. I definitely can pull it up. There we go. I found it for you. I found it. All right, Dave. I'm linking it right there for you. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys. Shane knows what's up. I fly a bedsheet with a lawn chair powered by a chainsaw motor. Now we're really getting into it, man. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Shane, I like it, man. I like the way you fly. You pretty much are flying a towel strapped to some line and some fishing string to some random titanium welded together and a lawnmower engine. You never know. Anyways, the link that I just attached for you guys that are maybe wondering is a link to Aviator PPG's video talking about the limitless trike attachment. That is why I linked that there. Oh, y'all are disappearing and going to the video. This is great. This is great. Good times. Good times, good times, good times. Well, guys, I've been going for 82 minutes. I'm going to go for 8 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it. So get your last questions out. Let's talk about training. Let's talk about gear. Let's talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. I am more than happy to talk about. I will happily talk about wings. I think there's so much about wings. Is there a limitless sales video? Not necessarily. Actually, I think there is. I could probably find that one for you, too. I would stay tuned and watch my review video. With my reviews, and I want to talk about real quick on my reviews and what I go for. I don't go for like the cinematic-y cool stuff too much. I really go for like how can I get as much information and portray as much information as possible to you guys. And I hope you like that. Like, did you guys see my Sky Flux review? Did you like the way that I did that style? Tell me what you guys thought about that Sky Flux review that I did a little while ago. Because I'm a big guy on just like, I want to know all the juicy details. All the juicy details. I get so much joy from knowing it's all insanity and yet we are allowed to do it. It's true. I mean, we are allowed to do it. Hopefully we can continue to do it for a long time. Any thoughts on EFI two-strokes for the future? It's been around. It's been in the talks for forever. Who knows? I look forward to the day. I can't wait. Who else has a huge and stay put wing in their arsenal still? I don't know what you mean, Shane. It's crazy how once you start flying, it consumes your thought from then on. It really does, Bryce. It consumes every awakening thought. It consumes all you think about, want to do, and talk about. My girlfriend says it's become my personality, and I fully believe that. You know the kind that gets lift when you fart? Okay. How is ozone different from how he says it's dangerous? Well, okay, so let's talk about that. Ozone is a wing manufacturer. There are many wings within the Ozone lineup. The Ozone Mojo Power 2 is arguably safer than the wing that you currently fly, Andrew, and the wing that he sells. The Spider 3 it then gets less and less safe as things go. That would be a discussion for reflex versus traditional airfoils and why I think reflex airfoils are plenty safe. And I'm actually a big fan of reflex airfoils. Dave, hey Dave, how you doing? Man, I wish they would mass produce EFI. Yeah, it'd be cool. I don't know. I think the way we have it now works just fine. It has its pros and its cons. Any experience with Everest Thunderbolt wings? Never heard of them. It's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle for sure. 100%, it really does become a freaking lifestyle. It consumes everything. And, my love girlfriend probably hear me, but it really does consume all of your awakening thoughts every single day. My small size first wing will be my sentimental forever. Awesome, Andrew. Awesome, Andrew. My job is getting less and less of me lately. They don't like it, but oh well, I'm going to fly. Exactly, Michael. Flying really does consume your life. It's funny. Pretty soon you go from... pretty soon you live in a van by the river just flying every single day. Let's just be real. And Andrew, to go back to your question on Ozone. Ozone is just a brand, and they just manufacture things. But let me hit you with this counter argument, right? If reflex and all the stuff that he says was so true, then why are there so many people out there, A, flying that stuff on a regular basis without getting hurt, and B, why are there so many very smart people getting paid lots of money to manufacture, engineer, test, and develop more stuff, right? If, for some reason, what he says is 100% true, if reflex really is as dangerous as you think, why would those companies continue to invest all that money into them? Why would they continue to develop? Why would they continue to test? Why would they push the envelope? Why would they try more things? Why would there be such a slew of people that truly fly them? If it really was speaking for itself, if it really was that way, people wouldn't be flying them. All of that money, that time, that energy, that effort, that all of those companies, Dudek, Ozone, BDG, every company out there that's dedicating time into it, they wouldn't do that if it really was as dangerous as everyone says. Living tight in the I don't know what that word is. You have to drive a bit to get to your LZ. I do too. I have to drive about 35 minutes. Why are there so many done politicians if they are the ones in charge? Money. Well, Andrew, here's the thing. If reflex was that dangerous, they could make a traditional airfoil wing and make the same amount of money. So why would they continue to invest that much time and energy into making more reflex wings? Obviously, it's not nearly as dangerous as you think. Also, if you look at the number of people that regularly fly those types of wings and look at the number of hours flown on those types of wings compared to traditional airfoil wings, you would see that they're not quite as dangerous as you'd think. Any taxes are hitting charges behind $2.5K for training, costs of additional training, paramotor wing rental. Nope, $2.5K is the bottom price for me. The only other thing on top of that is you have to get yourself to the training. You have to provide yourself with a place to stay, and you have to drive yourself around while you're at the training class. I don't provide you a place to stay. I don't drive you around. I do help cover damages on the equipment. If you break a prop, I cover it. If you total a paramotor, that's a different story. But I do help cover damages as well. I'm going to have to collapse test it in reflex mode. No, Andrew, that's not what it's for. See, then you get into a discussion of reflex. Reflex is made not to collapse. They're not going to recover as well from collapses, but they are going to be far more resistant to collapses. Eastern Mountain Range, U.S. public schools failed you, still worth every penny. To be fair, I just glanced over it without really reading it. I'm a I am dyslexic, so my reading is not necessarily the best, and I figured it was one of those things that I could maybe glance over. But yeah, back to Andrew's conversation, I think there needs to be I'd like to make a video talking more about the reflex. Andrew, I think what you should do, and what everybody should do if they're truly nervous about reflex, is dedicate time into studying it, learning it, and understanding it. Because if you're nervous and you don't like reflex, you really need to study and understand what reflex is. Sky Paragliders makes reflex. The Dominator is literally a Sky Sema K2. Yeah. See, here's the thing. If it was so dangerous, they wouldn't make reflex wings. They would just make traditional airfoils, and they'd make just as much money. They do make reflex wings. There's Zorro and Z-Blade. And they're Flexor. And I had a guy recently fly a reflex wing who only ever flew traditional airfoil wings, as I called him. And he goes, I hope everybody knows how easy they have it. Picking at you publicly is a form of flattering. I fly both normal and reflex. I think they are both safe enough under use intended. Sure. They are tools, and there is advantages and disadvantages to both the tools. A traditional airfoil has its pros and it has its cons. And the reflex has its pros and it has its cons. There are days I do not want reflex, and there are days I do want reflex. The Universal 1.1 is reflex, along with being the best wing ever made. Dudek fanboy here. Aha, Dudek fanboy. I have not been bit by the Dudek fanboy bug. I would like to try more Dudek wings, but I really like Ozone wings. Let's see. A Dominator is an A-wing. How is it possible that it's super fast wing? Surely it isn't comparable to modern XC wings like a Viper 5. So a couple things. The Dominator is not an A-wing. The Dominator is actually not a certified wing, but if we go back to the Sky Sema K2, it is certified in AFNOR standard, which is not an EN certification. There are 3 companies that do certifications: EN, DHV, and AFNOR standard. I'm not sure AFNOR is even used anymore. It could be out of business or just not used. So the Dominator is not an A-wing. Also, to caveat that, it also is certified in the larger sizes. It was certified small, medium, large, extra large. It was not certified extra small and smaller. So if you're flying an extra small, 2XS, 4XS, 5XS, or even the 3XL, those are not certified, and those are not going to perform like they are intended to. Then to continue on to that super fast wing, the only way that that wing is fast is a highly overloaded wing with lots of additional weight. In order to achieve the 51 miles an hour, you had to be loaded up to about 400 or 500 pounds and have a souped up engine in order to do so. If you go out and I fly side by side within a comparable size, they get left in the dust. There you go. Really showing the reality here, guys. The only reason I left is because I couldn't put up with the untrue statements anymore. Let's see. I'm pretty sure glider rating is not about performance aside from collapses resistant from reinflation times. It depends on the certification. DHV is a load testing certification. I believe EN is more of a collapse test. Most paramotor wings are not EN certified anymore. I could be mistaken, but at least the Sky lineup is no longer EN certified. They are just DHV certified. Or maybe it's how it recovers. I don't know. So really what EN kind of goes after is how a glider recovers from the collapses. That is both how much altitude is lost, direction change, and time. So if it collapses and it takes a long time and it sinks, that's not very good. But if it collapses and it immediately recovers but it shoots off this way, it's also not very good. So for it to be an A certified wing, it needs to collapse and recover while flying in the same direction without losing a lot of altitude. I don't know the exact parameters of that, and that one's probably hard to understand or hard to test. But like as you go down in levels, as you get to a B, it's going to take longer to recover. It's going to lose more altitude. It's going to change direction. A C is going to do more. A D is going to do more, and so on. And it also depends on the collapse. Like you can watch videos of Dudek warps and Viper 5s and crazy wings taking collapses, and it just pops right back out. It just depends on the magnitude of the collapse and the situation and the environment and the weather and how it took the collapse and why it took the collapse and stuff like that. Can you film top speed video on SEMA power? Sure, but here's the thing. In order for the SEMA power, in order to equally compare SEMA power to the Dominator, you're going to have to highly load that SEMA power just like the Dominator was highly loaded. I mean, to give you perspective, it was flown on a trike with 44 round cases of 44 mag ammo underneath it to load that sucker up to the point to where it would no longer climb, trimmed out and on speed bar, which is really, really, really heavy. And that's how they were able to, or that's how Dell was able to achieve the 51 miles an hour. I can do about, or you can do about 50 in the weight range of a lot of gliders these days. And that's the cool thing, is that the cool thing with a lot of gliders these days is you can get the performance, you can get easy launches, you can get the speed, you can get the maneuverability, all in the weight range. You don't have to go heavy overloaded on wings in order to get performance and speed these days. And by not going heavy overloaded on wings, you can have easy launches and you can have gentle landings. And that's a big deal. So like the Viper 5, I'm flying an 18. I'm flying an 18 meter Viper 5. I'm in the weight range. The launches are easy. The landing is easy. And I'm going 43 miles an hour trimmed out. You know how hard it was for me to achieve 43 miles an hour on other wings? I had to go full speed bar on a highly overloaded 16 meter in order to achieve 42. DK Danis, I'm going to skip over that question there. Let's see, Brian, and no commitment to buy specific gear. Yes, I do not pressure any students to buy gear. At the training, before the training, or even after the training. I don't be that guy that during the class I'm just all, you need to buy gear. I don't like that. Give you a little backstory, like I hate going to things and it just being a sales pitch for stuff. So when I created my training program, I did not want it to feel like a sales pitch. So one thing I do not do is give you that sales pitch the entire time. I do not go on tangents about why you need to buy gear. I do not try and pressure you into buying certain stuff. I am there to help answer your questions, and I will ask for the sale once, but I am not going to go chase you down and make you feel like, he's just making me buy. I also don't want you to feel like I'm changing how I treat you because you did or did not purchase equipment. I don't like that. I don't want any part of that, and that is not how I run my training program. I got you sold on a Viper 5. Andrew, I'm telling you, your life would change forever if you flew a Viper 5. Flying paramotors would never be the same. I would not sell you a Viper 5. I would not let you buy a Viper 5. I would let you buy a Sirocco 3, but I would not let you buy a Viper 5. I just don't think you should have one. I think you should, Andrew, you should come out to Utah and try a Sirocco 3 18 meter. You would be shocked at how much fun it is. Brian, yes, sir. So, Brian, I'm going to find out on Monday to make sure that factory R in September is still available for you. Also, I really wanted to see a blue factory R. I'm kind of sad about that. I'm just going to say. Viper 5 equals death. No, Andrew, Viper 5 does not equal death. So the wings, the like Hoaxflex death trap stuff that just immediately kills you when you go fly it, that used to be a thing. There used to be wings like that a long time ago, but that was a long time ago. A lot of those arguments are rooted in 2005 to 2009 information. That stuff is no longer the case. The wings of today, 2022, are vastly different than the wings of 2009. Totally different. You cannot compare those 2005 wings, 2009 wings, to do a 2022 wing. They're so much safer than you freaking think. You can actually go watch the guy who created Scout go collapse test and SIV test a Viper 3. I think it's worth a watch for you, Andrew. I'm digging the specs on the factory R. I just want to see them make an EFI reliable and inexpensive. I would not hold your breath, Shane, on an EFI. It's been in the talks since like 2019. It's probably going to be in the talks for a long time. You also won't want to be the test dummies. You might not want to be the first kind of round to get it. The factory R is without a doubt like the best engine you could purchase right now in my eyes, and I think if you're considering a factory R and you have the ability to purchase a factory R, you should buy a factory R. But also, I will say it hurts my soul to watch someone buy a factory R and not run a 140 prop. Like if you buy a factory R and you're not running a 140 prop, you're running a 125 or a 130, you are losing out on what makes the factory R so special. I'm just saying. What do you worry the most when people take first flights? Is launching or landing? Landing is what I worry about the most on first flights. Launching is pretty easy. Landing is the tough part. Let's see. And can a student with a limited time take the beginning class twice, first half and last half? Yes, you can. You can split it up over a couple different classes if you would like to. You could come the first 5 days of one class and the last 5 days of another, or the first 6 days of one class and the last 4, or however many you can make it work. And Andrew, you want to Viper 5 equals dead Andrew? Not necessarily. You just would need to... You need to listen to some advice before you go fly one. Do you ever fly the Atom 80 on a cross-country flight? No, I do not. I am purchasing due to first-hand experience. Limitless is awesome and very adorable. Yes, Brian, I do miss the class. I wish you guys were all still here. My Atom 80 on a Flow Cosmos 20 wouldn't maintain altitude at 3K ASL with trims out and bar applied. Yes, the Atom 80 is really, I don't recommend the smaller engines. I recommend the bigger engines. Power is your friend. Do all your students successfully complete your training, or do some require additional training? Some require additional training. Not everybody is going to pass a training class first try. I think if a training school brags about how they're going to guarantee you going to pass, that is a red flag, because you don't know how you're going to progress. And if someone's just going to push you into the sky, that could be dangerous, because you might not be ready. We had a student in this last training class. So we had a class of 5. 4 flew out of the 5. And one of them, I just did not feel safe flying at that time. I did not think he was ready. I did not think the skill set was there. I did not think the mental game was there. There are 2 things an instructor has to take into consideration before flying a student. Number 1 is are there skills there? And number 2, are they mentally there? If they are not mentally there, they should not be flown, even if the skills are there. Let's see. What was that? I came here just in time. You did. I was going to stop 9 minutes ago, but man, you guys just got me on a roll. Well, I would have thought launching was tougher. It took me 2 sessions to get in the air. It took 1 try to get on the ground. Well, yeah, you're going to get on the ground one way or another. I think what I meant by that is how smooth it was executed. Like, it's easier to have a good launch than it is to have a good landing your first flight. Let's see. Like, you're gonna land one way or another. It's just I've had students that just come in and don't even flare for landing, versus like you kind of have to have a good launch in order to get in the air. Let's see. Need Honda or Yamaha to level the quality EFI system. That's going to be a 2 to 3K option in my guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be expensive. Trevor never pushed any gear. He's very low pressure and extremely patient with all students. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I think EFI will be more reliable than a carb. Look what cars, motorcycles do. Absolutely. It's just about, it is about the cost of development to the amount of volume that they're going to sell. They just don't sell a lot of volume. Maybe people one day will fly paramotors at night with proper lighting. Wow, attractive. Sure. Or chainsaw companies need to make a smaller 2-stroke EFI system. Trevor Aluminum is one of the best in the business. Thank you. I recently got upgraded to Trevor Titanium from Trevor Aluminum, and I take that with great pride. Have you ever flown with a Black Bull engine? No, I have not. Amen 140. A 140 prop all the way. I'm telling you, if you don't run a 140 prop, you should. If your cage can't fit a 140 prop, you are seriously missing out. Because I have guys, and they're like, man, the motor isn't powerful enough. Well, what size is the prop? 125. Well, there you go. Try 140. But most cages can't fit it. So that's another reason I like Limitless, is if it's a 140 prop. I think if you register your paramotor as a light sport or something along with the ABS tracker, you probably could. If you just go to Mexico, I'm sure you could fly at night. Complexity of EFI to the average person is a major factor as well. I am sure. I think... I mean, for most people, it's probably marginally going to change how things are for them. Flew 6 days in a row, super stoked. Yeah, you did, Brian. Yeah, you did. And you were to the point, Brian, where I didn't have to tell you dang near anything. I didn't have to hook you in. I didn't have to walk you through the launches. I didn't have to walk you through the landings. I taught you to be an independent paramotor pilot. That is the one thing I push a lot at my training school versus what I see at a lot of other schools, is it is about independence. How can I make you an independent pilot? I don't want to hook you up, and I didn't hook you up. Your first launch, by the way, I didn't hook you up to your wing. Nobody hooked you up to your wing. You hooked you up to your wing. You got your controls. I double-checked, but you did it all. And it's about how can I create an independent paramotor pilot out of the students. And I think, Brian, you are a great example of what that can become. Sweetness or maybe with an exemption. I mean, I don't know, guys. Flying at night, it is what it is. The best paramotor engine would probably be a liquid piston design, not a, I don't know what you're saying. I think if you're not satisfied with the Vitarazi 185, you should go try some other things, and then when you come back, you'll appreciate it. That's awesome, because when you go flying by yourself, you must be independent. Exactly. So see, one thing that's really cool about the fact that I created independent pilots is now when Brian goes home to go fly, it is not new for Brian to hook up by himself. It is not new for Brian to lay his wing out. It's not new for you to go and do it yourself, because you did it yourself during the training class. I didn't ever hook you up. I didn't ever do any of that stuff. You did it. I did not. I was just there to help guide you and hop on radio. And also, as the training goes on, I back off of the instruction on the radio. The goal is to say nothing. If I can say nothing, I will say nothing. That way, when you go home, you are already comfortable. That's what I want. I don't want there to be this uncomfortable, steep learning curve post-training. And I think you will appreciate that as soon as you start flying, Brian. Let's see. I think you were one of the best pilots ever. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know the answer to that. I think there are some really great pilots out there. Look up liquid piston. Okay, I will do so. I will do so. Well, guys, I guess I may as well go for 16 more minutes. So 16 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it. So you guys better get your questions out there. Get me your questions. Questions. You guys got me on a roll. If you ask anything, I will answer. Yeah, Brian was doing great. Brian, I very much appreciate your comments here. Sweet. Brian was awesome. Trevor is the best paramotor teacher, always has been, even the super training days. I learned a lot in those super training days. I learned a lot of what to do and what not to do. I learned, you know, I will tell you one of the things that I learned at my last training class, as far as teaching, or as what I've learned recently, I think the best instructor is not the one that can give the most instruction the fastest. Like, you don't need to, like, yell at the student all the little instructions. I think the best instructor is the one that can keep a student as calm as possible and keep the student performing as best as possible. So during the training class, and how I kind of run, or how I am on radio when you start to fly, is like, how can I keep you as calm and collected as possible? Because the more calm and collected you are, the better you are going to perform. And so that's the whole goal. It's like, honestly, the most of the time what I say is just like, slow down, relax, calm down. Like, let me calm you. Instead of amplify you, let me calm you. Because when you're calm, you perform better. And so that's what I really try to do at the training class. That's what I really try to do on the radio, is like, how can I keep you calm in the air, on the ground? And so that's, I think, a good test to how good an instructor is like, how well can the instructor get the student to respond and perform to the inputs given. And, you know, Brian can probably speak for this. It was all about like, hey, let me keep you as calm as possible. You know what to do. I don't need to tell you. But what's happening is you're getting all worked up. So by me calming you, you're responding, which was super interesting and super fascinating to see. It's a complete bipolar opposite to the yelling the instructions at you, how can I tell you what to do right now, versus the how can I calm you down from this new stimulation because you already know how to perform in this situation. And that has proven to work way better. What do you think about Dell as a pilot? I think Dell is arguably one of the best pilots out there. Few can come in near him in terms of just pure precision and consistency. See, he always brags like best ever. Like, what does that mean? Because he's never done any competitions. I think what it is it's about his consistent precision. Like, he is consistently very precise. Have there ever been paramotors in feature films or blockbusters? I'm not sure. I heard a guy that builds all the Limitless is really badass, but pretty weird. I heard he's a pretty cool guy. I look forward to hanging out with that guy out here in Utah at some point. But yeah, he's pretty weird, I guess. What do you teach in your events training for mountain flying? That's a great question. The advanced training. Mountain flying, the biggest thing that I really teach about mountain flying is some of the general habits, and I really repeat them into you. Like, the biggest thing is like, number one, you don't fly at the hill. Number two, keep some altitude. Number three, if your motor dies, you want to be far enough away that you don't have to land on the mountain. You have to fly away from the mountain and land on the ground. And another one that I really push is rotor. Most of the time when it comes to mountain flying, it's learning how to navigate over the hills without ending up in the rotor. It's learning how can I get from this spot to that spot without ending up in any of the rotor. And so it's picking the lines. It's understanding here's where the lift is going to be. There's going to be a rotor right here. Come over here. It's also understanding how to move and operate in the mountains, because you can't just turn in a normal way, because if you just turn a normal way, you might turn towards the mountain. If there's wind and you turn towards the mountain, you're going to go at the mountain way faster than you expect it to be. So you have to turn away from the mountain. You have to learn how to operate in a bit of a different way and move and function and flow in a different way around a mountain. That's what I teach. I also teach through exposure. I think one of the biggest things is there's a mental fear to the mountain, and so it's how can I get you up there after doing a good briefing, and we kind of work you up in size. How much does it cost for you to teach me how to do a barrel roll? No sarcasm. That's a great question. Come through my advanced training. I could probably help you. The advanced training is $1,000 if you bring your gear, $1,500 if you rent mine. Great question with racing paramotors. Me too. What about racing paramotors? I think racing paramotors are fun. Are paraglider pilots more skilled and extreme than some paramotor pilots because they do crazy stunt spin sats? Well, that's a very interesting question, because not all paraglider pilots do those crazy things. I think, generally speaking, a very good paraglider pilot is going to be very much better than a primarily paramotor pilot, because paraglider pilots have to have good glider control to fly a paraglider. In order to go paragliding, you have to be good at glider control. And the better you are at glider control, the better you are as a pilot. The better precision you have, the better consistency you have, the better understanding of the wing. And so paraglider pilots that transition to paramotors typically do really well, especially if they're good on the ground. And one of the things that I really push on my training, and the way I kind of think about my paramotor training class, is I think of I'm teaching you to paraglide with thrust. I am not teaching you to fly an airplane, which is another way and mentality you can think about paramotors. I am teaching you to fly a paraglider with thrust. I'm teaching you to understand that wing, dance with the wing, fly the wing, kite the wing, all of those things with the wing. And then we're adding power to it. It's not like, how can I just teach you to inflate the wing, kite the wing, and fly the wing away, right? It's all about learning to fly that glider. Glider control is a huge thing for me at my paramotor training class. I mean, that's rooted into my soul. I think glider control is the single most important skill any paramotor pilot can have, and paraglider pilot. Like, if you don't have good glider control, you should not be flying. Can you tell us a little bit about the adventure flying trips you plan to do in the future if you haven't talked about it already? I sure can. Great question. So next spring, what I really want to do is I want to have a fly camping trip. This is going to probably be a 3-day trip where we fly or where we camp 2 separate nights maybe or so. And that's going to be like, at this point I have picked out several different levels, as I call it, of difficulty of landing spots. So you have a low spot that's really easy, and then you have higher spots that are a little bit more difficult. And it's like, okay, how can I take like these 3 or 4 guys and we go up and land on these spots and do some fly camping and stuff like that. And it's more so like, how can I teach you how to land on these mountains and understand how to, and coming in and bringing the gear and doing all of that stuff. And it's kind of an excuse to go and do it in a way. Locations and a lot of fun. And so that's kind of the goal of the fly camping trip, is like, how can I just get more people to come fly camping with me? Because at the end of the day, I just want to have more friends. And then I want to do some adventure tours, which the way I want to do the adventure tours is a little bit different. I want to do where we're driving from spot to spot and staying in a hotel versus camping. So I like the idea of camping. I like the idea of roughing it, but it's not everybody's forte. I want to have it where, the guy that loves to sleep in a nice queen-size bed with AC can still come and have a good time. So it's like, we're going to pick one main spot, and we're going to fly all the cool spots around that, and then we're going to move to another spot. We're going to fly all the cool spots around that, and it's going to be like a 6-day thing where 3 days we go at one spot and 3 days we go at another spot. And that's kind of how we're going to split those up. I also want to do like a really long cross-country flight from the top of Montana to the bottom of Arizona, flying the entire Rocky Mountain range. I think that would be really fun for people to do as well. But you'd have to be really freaking good to do that one. How did you get God to make good wind for your students? I don't know. I guess he just was being nice to me that day. Will the fly camping trip cost money? Yes, it will cost a little bit of money, but I can't imagine it'll be more than like 500 bucks. It's just about covering the logistical cost of me putting the thing on. That's the only thing that I charge for on those. I think Trevor's style of keeping you calm helps more than he can emphasize. Every student responds well to this. Yes, one thing I will add to that that really stood out to me is I asked all the students, or I asked a couple of the students, like, hey, when I come over and I help you, does it help you more than it hurts you? Like, instead of me coming over and making you perform worse and like freak out and like, oh my gosh, so much stimulation, do you actually perform better with me there or worse with me there? And a lot of the students that I asked, or all the students that I asked, said they performed better with me there than without me there, which speaks highly because some instructors, when they come over, you perform worse because there's amplification. They come and they amplify you and they speak to you and they get loud and in your ear and they're telling you all this stuff and it's like, ah! And the goal I took and the approach I took was like, how can I keep you calm so you're responding and continuing to give the instruction and the inputs that you already know how to do? Is there any particular harness that you would choose for ground handling? Is the cheap one from Amazon a good, or do you need to spend several hundred on a good ground handling harness? I would not buy the cheap one from Amazon. I think going the cheap route and getting the random harness can be dangerous because kiting can quickly become flying. And if all of a sudden you're flying around on a horribly unsafe harness, that's not so good. The harness that I personally recommend and think that you should use is called an APCO First harness. They're about 300 bucks plus carabiners, so about 350 total. I think those are the best, or actually, from my experience, those are the most comfortable harness, as the most comfortable kiting harness I have ever used. I find necessity the best teacher. Necessity, what do you mean? Maybe I'm not understanding. What's the best helmet and also communication system in your opinion? Aerolite.com Solar X helmet has been the best. I think the Yaesus radio is also one of the best out there. Why don't manufacturers add slight natural brake pressure to make a wing more stable? A-wings without pilots needing to add brakes. Because it would be really hard to inflate. And it'd be really hard to do a launch in light wind. Gliders are designed with flight characteristics in mind. If they want a great angle of attack, it would be designed that way, not short changes on the brake. I think it's easy to add the brake, and then you have the ability to put your hands up, which I think is better. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't personally do that. I think the way that they make wings is pretty freaking awesome as is. I look forward to newer wings coming out. Uh-oh, chat disconnected. Well, guys, I think this will be the end of... oh, here we are. We're back. Oh, we're back. I fly with slight brake pressure all the time. I wouldn't necessarily fly with brake pressure all the time. I think you want to let the wing breathe. Brake pressure is good when you need it, but not when you don't. Do you adjust brake line lengths? If so, how much slack do you add when adjusting them? I do not adjust brake line length. That's why trims are a thing. True, Andrew, trims are a thing. If you pull trims down, it's as if you are pulling brake. If you put trims up, it's as if you are putting your hands up. Okay, guys, 4 minutes. Let's get the last few questions out, and then I will wrap this up and go hang out with the girlfriend. 43 people. We had some pretty good current enrollment or current viewers the entire time, I must say. I was pretty happy with that. No final questions? Come on. If there's no questions, then I guess I can just wrap it up early. Can you guys still hear me? Or did it disconnect? Is it still there? Hello? Anybody there? I'm not sure if anybody's there. Maybe they are. Maybe? Hello? Oh, I'm frozen. Oh, goodness.